This is a hearing addressing two trials at the same time, the final chapter of what have been three total trials over nearly 6 years. You heard Maricopa County Judge Justin Boreski giving the most severe possible sentence for Vallow Daybell, 2 consecutive 25-year sentences for conspiracy to commit murder, telling her, quote, "You left a wake of destruction from Louisiana, Arizona, Idaho, Texas, and back to Arizona. You've shattered lives and sowed fear in the hearts of so many." Did not mince words here.
No, he most certainly didn't. And there was contention between them during both of these trials that we saw since the beginning of trial 1, which started in late March. And we've got criminal defense attorney Josh Kolsrud here with us in studio. Just thoughts on obviously getting the max. And I thought what was the most shocking was you'll be given 0 days credit for time served because of the existing convictions in Idaho as well.
Yeah, no surprise here that the judge gave Lori Vallow consecutive sentences, especially with the victims in the courtroom today, the heartbreak and heartache that we heard. And also, this case touched Judge Boreski as well. When he stated that he shared the same birthday as Charles Vallow, and that, when he has his birthday, he's going to remember Charles Vallow, that really struck a chord with me. It's not very often that a judge will share a personal anecdote or share a personal story with about him to those in the courtroom. And so for him to do that, he is showing how much this case has really affected him, not just the victims, but also, he's been a part of this from the very beginning as well. And, I think that Judge Boreski really took the time to look through all of the statements. He quoted a couple of the other victims' impact statements during his allocution today. I thought, listening to Lori Vallow give her sermon also touched a chord with Judge Justin Boreski. You did hear Judge Boreski interrupt her a couple times to correct her from stating misstatements about the court, about what the court did do or what the court didn't do. And, judges typically don't do that. However, in a case like this, where you have a defendant who over and over and over again tries to manipulate the, what happened. She's trying to rewrite history. He just wasn't going to have any part of that today in his courtroom.
Yeah, again, the harshest sentence possible for Lori Vallow Daybell. And as we heard and expected, she brought in a layer of religion, spirituality in her entire statement, portraying herself as this sort of chosen vessel for God. This is someone who is obviously radicalized by a mixture of her faith and fringe teachings and apocalyptic teachings, and she has a completely distorted view of herself and of reality. Let's listen to a comment she made when she did address the court, and then I want to get your response to something.
I have studied the rules of law, case law, and the like. I was amazed and enlightened as my understandings were completely changed from before I started this process. Before this long court journey, I only had basic understanding of the judicial process. I was of the understanding that both parties would be able to get up at a trial and each tell their side of the story, but I soon learned that the rules of law do not allow that.
Actually, they do.
The process is much more complex than that. It is not designed for that, although the Constitution of the United States was designed for that. The rules of law negate most of that. As a defendant, I was precluded from calling several witnesses. Other witnesses for the defense were precluded from testifying things that they did witness. As a defendant, I was precluded from asking law enforcement specific questions. I was also precluded from admitting documents that the state turned over to the defense as discovery. The founding fathers of this country did not intend for the rules and laws of trial that have been implemented into this justice system to make it impossible for the accused to defend themselves. Their objective was quite the opposite. They advocated for a fair and impartial and speedy trial. It was never their intention for people to be sitting in jail for years and years waiting to be tried while the state continues to try to gather new evidence against them. This is what our unjustice system has become. Men and women sitting in jail for years and waiting to be heard. The constitutional right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness thwarted. My case is not unique. There are many here in Maricopa County that have been in jail almost 10 years waiting to be tried. The conditions of this jail are not for long-term confinement. You do not have access to direct medical care. You do not have access to proper nutrition. You do not have access to sunlight. You do not have access to decent dental care. In fact, when you have been at Maricopa County Jail for 1 year, they come to your door and offer you a vitamin D supplement because you have not been in the sun in a year. Imagine this for years. It is inhumane.
The judge poked holes in some of the things she says. Are you surprised she wasn't treated as insane? Because that could have been a possibility.
Well, she was declared competent on 2 separate occasions, once in Idaho and once in Maricopa County. And just quickly to comment on what she just said about an unfair system. This is the same system that gave her 2 jury trials and gave her a pulpit to give a sermon to everybody today, an opportunity that she never gave her victims in this case. So it's not very surprising that Ms. Vallow is up here playing the victim. However, 2 impartial juries in a very fair system that afforded her due process found her guilty on all accounts.